a lot of law students come to me and tell me that they dream to be a litigator, that they want to practice litigation for the rest of their lives, and they know for sure in the bottom of their hearts that they definitely want to practice litigation. Litigation meaning the practice of going to a court of law, representing a person and addressing arguments on facts and law on behalf of that person before a judge. Every time I listen to this, the first question I ask them is how they have come to this conclusion. And the answers are always very, very varied. But some of the common themes are, I see people arguing and I think that this is also something that I want to do. And some say that they feel that they are good at arguing. Some say that they are good at presenting facts and circumstances, or they are good at showing another person where they are right or where they are wrong. According to me, all those reasons are good, whatever rows your boat. But at the end of the day, what matters is whether you have actually tried your hand at it, and then you know whether you liked it or not, and that you will like doing it for the rest of your life or not. And to address this question, I have to ask them this: how many litigation internships have you done? But more importantly, how many internships apart from litigation internships have you done? Because a lot of times when these first year, second year law students come to me and tell me that they love litigation and they plan to do litigation for the rest of their lives, I know that in all probability they have not even done a single litigation internship. And maybe if they've done it maybe for a month. And the second part of the question, have you interned anywhere else, then comes into play. Because even though you might have done an internship here or there in litigation, if you do not know what to compare it with, do you really know that you want to do this for the rest of your life? That again becomes the most important question. So I tell every single law student who comes and tells me that they love litigation and that they want to practice litigation, that they must, especially during law school days, seek out as many internships as they can in fields other than litigation. Because once they have done those internships, and then they can still say it with confidence that, boss, I do not wish to do these other fields of law and I want to practice advocacy, go to courts and make submissions. They can then choose this particular field of law. And the same thing goes for whether when you say you want to go into litigation, you want to do criminal litigation or you want to do civil litigation. First, do it. Dabble in it as much as you can, especially in law school where anyone is ready to take you in as an intern. Because once you've graduated, it becomes far more difficult. I say it with experience because I did not go for many corporate law internships. I've just had a handful. And for the first few years of my career, I was not sure whether this is the right thing for me or not. I did apply to a couple of corporate law firms after having graduated, did not get accepted anywhere, especially because of the fact that I had never done any corporate law internships prior. Now, whether the corporate law life is for you or not, whether in-house, whether bank jobs as a law officer in a bank, you could be working in some managerial capacity elsewhere. There are a lot of avenues which are there for law students and subsequently who become lawyers. A lot of times, and especially because I hang around in litigation circles most of the time, I am told that, by these litigation lawyers, that I would do anything but corporate law compliances, due diligences, and all of the other nonsense that they call it. I honestly don't know what happens when there is mergers and acquisitions in banking and finance and private equity or projects going on. I have no idea what goes on in these firms, and I have especially no idea why these law firms pay a lot of money to their associates, and of course in turn how do they get paid for doing this work. I don't even know what work they do, to be honest. But I was talking to an old friend of mine who has spent the better part of a decade now into working with big law firms in as part of big teams, and he has done a fair bit of litigation as well as part of these big law firms. And he tells me he finds the projects division that he is in to be far more fulfilling as a career option and as a field which gives money, of course, in the beginning. He finds it to be far better than litigation. And so that gives me another side of the narrative, which is that a lot of people understand, smart ones understand, that you should not glorify anything without any purpose. You should not go out and glorify doing something unless you really like doing it. For me, I think the criteria is whether I enjoy doing it or not, whether I find a sense of purpose in it or not. Just because some XYZ thing tells me, or something in the media tells us, that these X, Y, and Z sections of society are supposed to be glorified because they're doing a service to us, I would rather do something that I enjoy, which might not be considered a service or benevolent act of kindness towards humanity. Rather than that, I would rather do something which makes me feel alive, makes me feel good, and gives me a sense of purpose. It could be litigation for some people, but for some others, I would definitely implore you, especially coming back to the point, being a law student, I would definitely recommend that you, instead of going out and saying that I love litigation and I want to be a litigation lawyer without having done any litigation internships or without having done any other sorts of internships such as corporate law, in-house, and work like that, don't come to a conclusion so quickly, and hopefully you will have a better chance after having explored all these options at a decent career.